Hi everyone, welcome back for day 2 of our article on the story The Running Dream. I'm Kat.
And I'm Reese.
And so yesterday we left off with a very sad part of this very sad story about this girl named Jessica. So what happened to her?
Well, Jessica was in an accident on a school bus. One of her friends actually was killed and she ended up losing her leg, which is bad enough, but for her it was completely destroying because she was a runner.
Yeah, she was apparently the best runner at her school. She could run 400 meters in 55 seconds.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's very, very fast.
Yeah.
So now Jessica's life is going to be completely changed, but there is some hope because she's going to be getting a prosthetic or... What was the other word we had?
An artificial leg.
Artificial leg, which basically means a fake leg. So maybe with that, she can still participate in her favorite sport, which is running.
Yeah, hopefully. So we said that we were going to have a little more hopeful part of the story today. And so we're going to see how Jessica is getting on now that she is out of the hospital, now that she's, trying to get back to a normal life or as normal a life as she can. What is life going to be for her now that she's lost her leg and her life is very different now?
Yeah, let's have a read.
Reading. The Running Dream. With her therapist's help, Jessica learns to care for her stump. It's difficult, but soon she can clean it, change her bandages, and deal with any sudden pains. At last, she's allowed to go home and return to school. Once her artificial leg is ready, she also begins to move more easily. Jessica's body is recovering quickly. She's still struggling at school, though. For one thing, she can no longer practice the sport she loves. For another, people behave differently around her. On Jessica's first day back in class, people stare at her or are awkward around her. Though her old running team tries to make her feel better, she still feels like an outsider. Then her math teacher decides to have Rosa sit next to her. At first, Jessica doesn't want to be seen with her. Rosa uses a wheelchair because she has a condition called Cerebral Palsy. But when Rosa starts passing her notes in class, Jessica sees that she's a caring and intelligent person. What's more, she doesn't let her condition hold her back.
All right, so the article today starts out with talking about what she's doing. With her therapist's help, Jessica learns to care for her stump. So here we've got this word therapist. And of course, if you ever get a mental or physical injury, or if you're unwell, you might see somebody who is a therapist. This is a person who helps you to get better or recover from mental or physical problems, or helps you understand them. So a lot of people who aren't, injured in their body, they might see a psychological therapist or a counselor, particularly if they have problems like with depression or in their relationships, or they just want to, do better in their lives. But Jessica is probably seeing a physical therapist, and that's somebody who's helping her learn how to move better and to use and care for her body after she lost her leg. People go to physical therapy for a lot of reasons, and losing a limb is definitely one of them.
Yeah, so it can take a very long time to get used to this kind of physical difference in your body.
Yeah.
And so that therapist is going to help her do that. But the article says a bit more. It says, it's difficult, but soon she can clean it, change her bandages, and deal with any sudden pains.
Wow.
So all of that is talking about her stump, which is where her leg used to be. So we have one word here, which is the word sudden, and sudden is an adjective with the more commonly used adverb being suddenly. So when something is sudden, it means it happens quickly, unexpectedly, and without warning. So if something is sudden, you didn't know it was coming, and it takes you by surprise. A sudden rainstorm is when bad weather seems to come out of nowhere. earthquakes are usually sudden too, as they're difficult to predict. So the article talks about a sudden pain. That's pain that happens quickly and without warning. It's not very nice.
No.
An example sentence with sudden could be, the sudden arrival of my weird uncle surprised the whole family.
That reminds me of my favorite Christmas movie.
Which one?
Christmas Vacation.
Oh, I've not seen that one.
Oh my goodness. It's got the arrival of a sudden arrival of a weird cousin.
Okay.
Let's say that.
Right.
But anyway, let's get back to the article. We're trying to be serious here. So talking about sudden pains. And yeah, this can be a problem for people who lose limbs. They might even feel phantom pains, which means feeling pain in the arm or leg that is not there anymore, as though you still have it.
Very strange.
Yeah, it is very strange, and there's, it's not quite explained. But anyway, the article goes on. At last, she's allowed to go home and return to school. So she's getting on with her life again.
Right. So the article tells us more. It says, once her artificial leg is ready, she also begins to move more easily. Okay, so the leg has been installed. She's had the artificial leg fixed to her stump, so now she has two legs again, and she's learning to use them.
Yeah, and she probably can take the leg on and off. Yeah, but what it says is Jessica's body is recovering quickly. That's really good.
It's probably because she's quite young, and young people who are still growing, their bodies can recover from injuries faster. Well, the article tells us more. She's still struggling at school, though. Okay, so struggling is a word to talk about. The word struggle can have several meanings, but in this context, struggling at school, the word means to have difficulty doing or completing something. So if you're struggling at school, that means you find the things you're learning too difficult, or for some reason you're unable to learn. If you're playing a really hard video game that you just can't finish, you could say, I'm really struggling to finish this level. So an example sentence could be, Sammy was struggling to tie his shoes properly, so his mother helped him.
Yeah, so we all struggle to do things sometimes, and her struggle is now getting back to normal school life. So it says, for one thing, she can no longer practice the sports she loves. For another, people behave differently around her. Yeah, so we've got two different struggles here, and that's why we use this grammar function for one thing and for another. So this is used to talk about more than one example or reason or detail about something, with one reason listed after the other. There are 2 points that support the same argument or the same statement. So the main statement is she's still struggling at school. How? Well, for one thing, that's reason number 1, she can't practice her sport. For another, reason number 2, people now behave differently around her. Here's another example of how we can use that. Anne doesn't like parties. For one thing, she thinks they're too loud, and for another, she hates talking to strangers. So yeah, you can see that we are giving reasons, like more than one reason, 2 reasons for somebody thinking or feeling a certain way.
I guess that's another effect of her losing her leg that we didn't maybe think about before, is that it's going to affect other people too, like her family who are going to have to help look after her, and her friends who maybe have never seen somebody who's only got one leg. It could be surprising,
or the fact that, they used to know her with 2 legs and now she's different.
Yeah. There was another phrase to talk about here, and it was the phrase no longer. And this phrase can be used to describe something that is no longer like before or not the same, either because it changed or because it doesn't happen anymore. So the phrase no longer should come directly before the things you are describing as having changed in some way. So here are some examples. I no longer enjoy watching Disney movies. I think they're for kids.
Aww.
So this sentence tells us that I used to like watching Disney movies, but now I don't. Here's another example. The school cafeteria will no longer serve pizza, as it's not a healthy lunch option. So that means the school used to serve pizza, but now they won't.
So she can no longer do her sport. She can't do it anymore.
Right. Well, the article tells us more. It says, on Jessica's first day back in class, people stare at her or are awkward around her.
That must not feel good.
That must feel pretty terrible. You know, not only is she struggling with this physical issue, she's probably feeling pretty sad, and now her friends and classmates are treating her differently too.
Yeah.
So her classmates are staring at her. So what does that mean? The verb to stare means to look at something for a long time with your eyes wide open and without looking at anything else. So you might stare at something interesting, but staring at people can be strange or even rude. It might make somebody feel uncomfortable if you keep staring at them, in the same way that Jessica feels uncomfortable because her classmates are staring at her.
Do you ever get stared at?
Yes, I think we can both.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
especially kids and babies, or if I'm outside of Taipei, adults will stare at me too.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reason being, I guess, because Kat and I are both not from Taiwan.
We don't look Taiwanese.
Yes, we have white skin, and 99% of people in Taiwan are Asian.
Yes.
So we're different, so often kids or some other people might stare at us too. But an example sentence using stare could be, all of the students were staring at the fight happening outside the window.
Oh, yes. That's something people would definitely stare at.
Yes. So staring at interesting things.
Yeah. Or staring
things.
at awkward things or not staring at awkward things. So here we are saying people stare at her or they're awkward around her. When somebody is awkward, this is an adjective that means they're feeling weird and unnatural or embarrassed or inconvenient about something. If you and a person you hate, for example, are put in a group together at school and you're both trying to be nice, but you both know you just don't like each other, so you're like, hi, yeah,
Good to see you, Kat.
yeah, sure, yeah, that's awkward. That can be awkward. So that is what awkward means. Going up in front of the class and talking in a weird way because you're nervous is also something that is very awkward. Or not knowing what to do with your hands. When you think about what you're supposed to do with your hands and then you don't know what to do, it's really weird and it's awkward.
Yeah.
Here's an example sentence. Ethan felt very awkward being the only first-year student at a party with all third-year students.
Right. That would be awkward.
I'm such a baby. Yeah.
Actually, the Chinese word for awkward is one of my favorite Chinese words.
What is it?
It's ganga.
Ganga.
It just sounds so good. Yeah. Oh, it's so ganga today.
Ganga.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, we hear that, you know, people are staring or being awkward around Jessica because, yeah, she's different now. She has one leg and they don't really know what to say or what to do. And it says, though her old running team tries to make her feel better, she still feels like an outsider. That's too bad. So an outsider is somebody who doesn't belong to a group and they feels like they're not included in something and they probably feel very awkward. Like if you're an outsider with a bunch of people you don't really know and they're all enjoying themselves and you're not, that can feel really weird and can feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's not a nice feeling to be an outsider.
Yeah.
So it's always good to be inclusive, which means, you know, let people join your group and make friends.
Yeah, exactly. And be comfortable with them. Yeah.
Well, the article continues with, then her math teacher decides to have Rosa sit next to her.
Rosa, Rosa, Rosa.
I like this name.
Yes, me too. All right, so the article says, at first, Jessica doesn't want to be seen with her. Why? What's wrong with Rosa?
Well, the article will tell us a bit more about this new character, Rosa. It says Rosa uses a wheelchair because she has a condition called Cerebral Palsy. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that explains it. What is a condition, first of all? Well, condition is kind of a difficult word to explain, and it can have many meanings and uses. Condition is a noun, and the condition of something is the state that it is in. That means how it's doing. So when we're talking about something's condition, we're talking about the way it looks, its quality, or how well it's working. So in the condition of the article... in the context of the article, condition is used in a bit of a different way. It's talking about a kind of disease or illness. We can say something is in good condition or bad condition. A thing in bad condition has probably been used a lot and might be a little bit broken. If a person is in bad condition, that means they're really sick or perhaps even dying.
Yeah.
So an example sentence using condition in the way that it's used in the article is like this. My sister has a medical condition that causes her skin to be extra sensitive to sunlight.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's not very good.
No, it's not.
So condition here is basically another word for illness or disease.
Yeah, or disorder.
Disorder.
Yeah, I think that's what this is. It's classified as a disorder.
Right.
So I'll talk a little bit more about it. So first, we have this word wheelchair. Rosa is using a wheelchair, and it is what it sounds like. It's a chair with wheels. People who have problems with walking or moving well, or they have weakness in their body, they use a wheelchair to move around. And it's not just, your office chair that has wheels on the feet. It's got these two big wheels on the side that allow you to move kind of quickly and along the sidewalk, things like that. So she uses a wheelchair because she has cerebral or cerebral palsy. Palsy or cerebral palsy is a movement disorder. So it causes you to move very weakly or stiffly, and your muscles just can't really move naturally, and you can't move them well. It can be less or more severe from person to person. Some people with cerebral palsy or CP can walk and talk almost normally, and some people have really serious weakness that makes it hard to talk or walk at all. I've known people with both. Basically, I've known classmates of mine who could not talk. They could only make noises and move in their wheelchair. And then I have friends who can walk and talk almost normally.
Yeah, I've actually got a cousin with cerebral palsy, and it's pretty bad. He's able to kind of communicate, but physically he can't do too much. Although he did so much to overcome it, he actually learned to ride a horse.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And he finds that very therapeutic. It makes him feel much better.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. His name's Daniel, and he's really awesome.
Go Daniel.
Go Daniel. So the article said that Jessica didn't want to be seen with Rosa. I guess that's maybe because Jessica was feeling a bit awkward or embarrassed around Rosa because she has this condition.
Yeah, and she's like, well, you're weird and I'm weird. I don't want to be weird. So, it's that kind of feeling. I'm not saying that they are weird, but it's, it can feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's some hope. The article tells us, it says, but when Rosa starts passing her notes in class, Jessica sees that she's a caring and intelligent person. Right. Well, let's talk about this word intelligent first. Intelligent is an adjective that means smart. If you're intelligent, you probably know many things and have lots of knowledge in your brain. We can also describe animals as intelligent if they have big brains and are good at many things. We often describe dogs, dolphins, and elephants as being intelligent animals.
Yes, they are.
They are very smart. So an example sentence could be, you can train intelligent animals, like dogs, to do many tricks and tasks. So Rosa, despite having this condition, cerebral palsy, is actually still very intelligent because this illness doesn't affect your ability to learn.
Right. It doesn't affect how your brain works. It only affects how your muscles work.
Right.
Yeah. So what's more, she doesn't let her condition hold her back. So we have this phrase, what's more, and this is used before giving a little further explanation on something else you just said. It's kind of like also, or furthermore, in addition, additionally. So we said, Rosa is very intelligent. What's more, she doesn't let her condition hold her back. What does it mean to hold something back or hold somebody back?
Hold something back. So to be held back by something means to allow that thing, whatever it is, to stop you from progressing or doing well. So by saying that her medical condition or illness doesn't hold her back, the article is saying that Rosa doesn't let her illness stop her from learning or being successful in life. So here's another example. Don't let a bad test score hold you back. Keep studying and trying and you will succeed.
Yeah, so now we've got two important characters in here. We've got Jessica, who is back to school. She's feeling uncomfortable. She's feeling like an outsider. And then we have Rosa, who is sitting next to her and is showing Jessica, hey, I'm intelligent. I don't let things hold me back. And we're going to be friends. That's what I get the feeling of. They're going to be friends.
And so Rosa has this condition called cerebral palsy. It's something you're born with, I believe.
Or it emerges in early childhood.
Right.
Very, very, maybe first 2 years of your life.
And so if Rosa has learned not to be held back by this condition, maybe she can teach Jessica that life isn't over just because your body has changed in this way.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess we will see what the end result of this story is. At least it's not as sad as it was in day one. Yeah, so that's what we've got for day 2. For day 3, we're going to finish it up. But right now, we're going to go to our For You chat.
For You chat.
All right, so our For You chat question today is, how do you stay positive when you're going through a difficult time?
Ooh, that's a big question.
It is, and especially when you're having difficult times, it can be hard to stay or feel positive about much.
It can, and I think everybody in their life will go through difficult times at some point. Some may be worse than other, but in our own experiences, they will feel bad to us. So I've definitely been through difficult times in the past, and I've always found that the best way to get through them is through seeking comfort with my friends or my family. So if I'm feeling sad or alone or depressed because something bad has happened to me, I remind myself that I shouldn't be alone at those times because it can just make you feel worse.
That's true.
I always try and find my friends. Maybe we'll go for dinner or go for a walk or a bike ride. You know, exercise is one thing that's supposed to make you feel better as well.
Yeah.
So friends and exercise are the things that I do to make me feel better and get me through those difficult times. What about you, Kat?
I play with my cats if it's something that's like not that bad. If it's something that's really serious, I kind of tend to look inward and I really face those big emotions down and kind of, I don't know, mindfully deal with them.
Right.
Yeah, so I try and, think of it not so much as positivity, but courage and honesty.
Yeah.
So I think being honest with how you feel, if you feel bad, being honest about why you feel bad and how you feel about something is better than forcing yourself to be positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It never feels good to feel sad,
Yeah.
but it's an important emotion that everyone feels sometimes. And it's
and you
important.
can't be happy all the time.
Right.
Nobody's happy all the time. It's unhealthy to expect that of yourself.
It is.
Yeah.
And, if we can find the reasons why we're sad or depressed, then we can maybe try and get
Deal
rid of
with it.
those things, deal with it, and feel better in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe you guys can think about this too. If you're feeling sad or down, what do you do to try and feel better or stay positive? But that's all we have for today. We'll see you tomorrow to wrap up this article. We'll see you then.
All right, bye-bye.
The Running Dream. With her therapist's help, Jessica learns to care for her stump. It's difficult, but soon she can clean it, change her bandages, and deal with any sudden pains. At last, she's allowed to go home and return to school. Once her artificial leg is ready, she also begins to move more easily. Jessica's body is recovering quickly. She's still struggling at school, though. For one thing, she can no longer practice the sport she loves. For another, people behave differently around her. On Jessica's first day back in class, people stare at her or are awkward around her. Though her old running team tries to make her feel better, she still feels like an outsider. Then her math teacher decides to have Rosa sit next to her. At first, Jessica doesn't want to be seen with her. Rosa uses a wheelchair because she has a condition called Cerebral Palsy. But when Rosa starts passing her notes in class, Jessica sees that she's a caring and intelligent person. What's more, she doesn't let her condition hold her back.
Vocabulary Review. Sudden. The sudden movements of the boat made Carrie feel quite ill. Struggle. My little brother struggles to get all his homework done because he can't focus well. Stare. The little girl stared in wonder at all the bright lights on the Christmas tree. Awkward. It's awkward to see my mother and father fighting about money in a restaurant in front of others. Condition. Blake has a condition in which he needs to use the restroom every hour or so. Intelligent. Brian is an intelligent kid, and he gets the best grades in his class at school.
智慧小补帖
Therapist. Outsider. Outsider. Wheelchair.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net